All right, let's dive right into a huge question at the heart of modern technology. How do we make artificial intelligence something we can actually, understand? Today, we're going to unbox the so-called black box of AI and see what's really going on inside.
So you hear this term all the time, right? The black box. It kind of feels like this mysterious machine where data goes in, decisions pop out, but what happens in the middle is a total mystery. And look, this lack of visibility isn't just some academic curiosity. It can create some serious real-world risks when we don't know why a system is making the choices it does. So how do we shine a light inside that box?
Well, that's where AI transparency comes in. It's really a commitment to making sure these AI systems are understandable, traceable, and accountable to everyone who interacts with them. Think of it as moving from that mysterious black box to a clear glass box.
So why do we even need to open this box in the first place? It's not just about satisfying our curiosity. It's really about laying the groundwork for technology that we can actually trust and rely on. And the benefits here are huge. When you open that box, you enhance trust with your users, you reduce the operational risk of a model going haywire, you can actually deploy AI ethically, and of course, you help ensure you're meeting all of the compliance standards. So the key takeaway here is transparency isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely critical for success.
Let's start at the very beginning. I want you to think about building any complex machine. Before you even touch a single part, you need two things, right? A blueprint and your raw materials. Well, in the world of AI, it's pretty much the exact same idea.
First up is the blueprint. This means you have to document precisely why a particular AI model was chosen over all the other options. This can't be a random shot in the dark. It has to be a deliberate, justified decision that anyone can review and understand later on. And this brings up a really fascinating trade-off. See, simple models are super easy to explain, but they might not give you the best performance. On the flip side, really complex models, like deep neural networks, can be incredibly powerful, but they're way harder to interpret. So for something like a loan application, you'd probably want a simpler, more explainable model. But if you're identifying objects in millions of photos, you're probably going to need the complex one. Documenting your choice just means explaining where you landed on this spectrum and why.
Okay, now for the raw materials, the data. An AI model is only as good or as reliable as the data it's trained on. I mean, garbage in, garbage out, right? That's why you absolutely need a clear, transparent history of that data from the moment it's created to the moment it's used.
This whole process is known as data lineage. It's basically the complete, documented journey of your data. It starts with cataloging where all the data came from, then documenting how it was cleaned up and how it was transformed, which includes stuff like feature engineering, where you create new data points from existing ones. Every single step gets recorded, creating a final, totally traceable dataset for training.
Okay, so we've got our blueprint, our materials are all accounted for. Now what? Well, now we need a user manual. How do we explain what this AI is actually doing to all the different people who need to know?
And trust me, there are a lot of different people who need this information. An executive needs a totally different explanation than a hands-on operator or an auditor or a government regulator. The audience for AI transparency is incredibly diverse.
And that means a one-size-fits-all explanation just isn't going to cut it. The communication has to be tailored. Executives might just need a high-level summary of the business impact, but if you're the end user who got denied a service, you need to know exactly why you got that specific result. It's all about getting the right information to the right person.
So, how do you actually prove all of this? This is where we get into the nuts and bolts, the mechanisms that make the whole system traceable and accountable, both for when things go right and when they go wrong.
An audit trail is basically the AI's complete historical record. It logs everything, every little code change, every data set used for training, even the specific settings or hyperparameters that guided the process. This creates a clear line from a single piece of input data all the way to the final output, which is how you can go back and investigate any decision the model has ever made.
Now, beyond just tracking history, we also have these amazing tools that act like diagnostic scanners. They let us peer inside the model's logic to understand how it's making decisions. These are called interpretability tools.
And there are two main ways these tools work. You've got global interpretability, which gives you the 30,000-foot view. It answers the question, how does this model generally operate? Then you have local interpretability, which zooms all the way in to explain one specific outcome. It answers, why was my loan application denied? You really need both to get the full picture.
So after all this work, documenting models, tracing data, creating custom explanations, building audit trails, what's the ultimate payoff? I mean, what do we actually get for all this effort?
We get an AI that we can actually manage. Its decisions are no longer a mystery. They become traceable, they become explainable, and they fit neatly within a framework of responsibility.
Ultimately, all of this hard work builds toward three fundamental pillars.
And those pillars are trust, accountability, and compliance. When you have transparency, your users and stakeholders can actually trust the system. You've got the records to hold it accountable, and you have the proof to show you're compliant with rules and regulations. That, right there, is the real goal. So, let's end with this thought. Transparency isn't just a job for developers. It's a new standard we should all expect. The next time an algorithm gives you a recommendation or makes a decision that affects you, will you have the confidence to ask what's inside the box?